I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything for myself, had to move back in with my parents, have them be my caretakers. That's where my brain really switched to, I need something to help with my mental health and not just focus on my recovery, and UVU was a really great option. I was originally going to another school. I was going to go to Utah State. That was, in my head, my dream school. And then I went and I served a mission for my church, and I ended up getting a tumor inside my spinal cord that cut off the nerves to my legs. So I ended up getting sent home and had surgery. And then I couldn't walk. Just going from being a completely able-bodied person, being able to do everything on your own, living away from home, by myself, it was incredible. And going from that to I couldn't even do anything by myself. I couldn't even get out of a bed or a chair by myself. I couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't shower, couldn't do anything by myself. That takes a toll on a person, especially when you're an adult and you just feel like you take 10 steps backwards. And my parents are amazing, but it does not matter how incredible people are. It is frustrating when you can't do things for yourself. I had to relearn how to walk and how to do just everyday life things, and also accept that my life was never going to look the same as a disabled person, and having an invisible disability that other people would never know that unless I tell them or unless I walk with my limp, which I worked really hard to get rid of, and I learned how to walk without one. So it can just be really hard to constantly be an advocate for yourself, and it can take a mental toll for sure. I was really nervous to just go to any school. I was really terrified because I needed so many accommodations and I didn't know what resources were available. So I talked to just an advisor at UVU and kind of explained my situation. Hey, I can't sit for more than about 15 minutes without needing to stand up and to stretch, and I couldn't walk very well. I was going to be tardy to my classes. I was concerned about getting there on time. And the advisor told me about the accessibilities office. And I went in, again, so nervous. Maybe I won't be disabled enough for it to count to get accommodations. And I couldn't have been more wrong. They were so kind and caring with my situation. They also talked to all my professors for me, so I didn't even have to do that. I didn't have to tell them what was wrong. It was incredible, and it gave me a lot of confidence going to class, knowing that I was going to be late and knowing that I already had a seat. I knew where it was going to be. The professor knew what was going on. I didn't have to explain myself to a class. It was really, really helpful for me. When you go from being completely fine to can't do anything for yourself, it really, and especially I was 20 years old, it shifts your brain of what your priorities are as a person. And for me, I realized, because I was told by a lot of doctors, and I'm still told, that I'll probably end up in a wheelchair by the time I'm 40. So it really made me want to live and to go out and do these things that I hear all these older people talking about, once they're retired, that they finally travel. I was like, well, that might not look the same for me. So I want to do that now. I started really looking into the different options available, and I didn't know quite where I wanted to go, but I received an email from the National Student Exchange Program, and it really caught my eye. And I went in and I met with Sue Stevenson with the National Student Exchange Office, and she just told me about the program and said, what do you really want to get out of, a semester? Because you're able to do it for all of the 50 states, but then also any US territory. At that time, I really wanted a more multicultural experience. This was going on in 2020 when I was looking at this experience, and there was a lot of different things happening politically, and the George Floyd movement, and just there was a lot of things that I knew that I was very ignorant in, and I wanted to really face that head on. And so I said, I really want to go to a historically Black college. And then I also really wanted water. I was like, I want to take a swimming class or something, because that's the only place I don't feel disabled is in water. With her help, we landed on the US Virgin Islands as a great place to go study. It was a historically Black college, so culturally rich, and I got to take a snorkeling and scuba diving class for credit. So it ended up just being this incredible academic learning experience, but also personal growth semester, and that made me want to do it again. My study abroad experiences have really opened my eyes to how many educational opportunities there are throughout the world. For me, international education is something that I've just grown to really love. Experiencing it for myself has grown that love. I've been able to study a lot of different types of education, focusing on multicultural education, refugee education. I've also studied quite a bit in sex education as well. All of those things have just made me really want to go abroad and be able to teach workshops and maybe work in schools. I'm not quite sure, still figuring that out of what I want to do. My eyes have been open to just so many different ways to teach, that there's not just one set way. The learning that I experienced in the Virgin Islands was completely different than the learning that I experienced in Switzerland, and I taught in China. That was completely different as well. So all of these different things, I feel like I've taken little pieces that I've loved from all these different experiences, and I want to help create programs for kids all around the world. UVU is a place for students with big dreams.